you've got something that you want to share, something that you want to create, something that you want to put out into the world, but you don't. One of the most common themes that comes up with my clients is a fear of being seen and how to overcome that. So many creatives, helpers, healers have so much to give and to offer this world, but come up against resistance when it comes to being seen online, in the world, at conferences, in the places where the opportunities are. They might come up against a fear of judgment, of rejection, of criticism, or of failure. But when we really dig deep into this topic, you start to see that it's not just about their business or their artwork or their songs or whatever they want to share in the world. This fear also comes up in their personal life, where they hold back from expressing their opinions for fear of rocking the boat, or overgiving to the point where they're exhausted because they don't know how to say no. And this has come up in my own life in so many different areas. For a very long time in my personal life, I didn't feel safe being seen as who I really am. And that stems from a lot of different experiences during my formative years, where I learned, as many of us do, that it's safer to stay small and to not draw attention. A lot of us were told, to be quiet or stop dancing or stop singing or whatever it is. And over time, these experiences get deeply ingrained into our nervous system, into our mind, into our belief system. And the more time goes by, the more that this compounds, and then it becomes harder and harder and scarier to allow our true selves to be seen. We put on mask after mask after mask of ways of being and speaking that we've learned are more palatable, to the point where our true selves get lost. And all of this can morph into perfectionism and imposter syndrome, things that keep us procrastinating and keep us hiding. But I'm here today to encourage you and to offer some tips on how to overcome this fear, because you, my friend, have something in your heart. If you're coming across this message and you've listened to this far, you have something in your heart that you want to share. And maybe it's not something that needs to be shared publicly, but maybe it's something in you that needs to be expressed. And it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up and you keep pushing it away. But eventually we get to a point where we can't push that away anymore. We can't push ourselves away anymore. It gets to a point where pushing ourselves aside becomes too painful. So how do we start to uncover our authentic self and overcome this fear of being seen? We can start with self-acceptance and self-trust. Learning to accept yourself in all of your many layers and dimensions, and to trust that you can make good decisions for yourself and that you will protect yourself from whatever may come. These are important steps. But you can start small. Start with just finding a safe person to speak your truth with and express yourself more openly. Become more honest about what you actually need. If you don't want to go somewhere, just saying that you'd rather be at home. Start with small things like that, because even those can feel scary. If you've been in a cycle of people pleasing and masking your real needs and your real personality, even these little things can feel a little bit scary. But this is a good practice ground. Speak up in conversations, offer your opinion, and get used to the fact that maybe not everyone will agree with you. And that's okay. We live in a diverse world with very diverse people and opinions, and it's not always going to jive, but that's okay. The real ones, the real people who care about you, can handle not agreeing on every single thing. And try rewriting your internal narrative. Rather than asking, what if they're going to judge me? Try asking a different question. Something like, what if my authenticity inspires someone today? You see the shift just in that one question. You can use your personal life as a practice and training ground for learning to speak your truth, learning to assert your truth, and just to step into different shoes. And I'll offer some more practical tips at the end of this video. You can check the timestamps down below. But I also want to touch on how this shows up in business. Entrepreneurship is such a spiritual and personal growth practice. When you're running your own business, you will come up against all of your stuff. And it is a beautiful thing, albeit uncomfortable. But if you can face these roadblocks head on and learn how to overcome them, you will be so proud of yourself and you will make great leaps in your business. That being said, where the fear of being seen shows up in business, it comes in many different forms. Everything from underpricing your services and over-delivering, to hiding behind the scenes, to avoiding marketing yourself, to staying in learning mode and constantly going after more and more certifications, more and more education, without actually taking steps into creating a business around the skills that you already have. In order to have a successful business, you will need to be visible. And one of the biggest stumbling blocks that I run into with clients is the fear of showing up on social media. This is huge because starting to share yourself on social media means that everybody's going to see your content. Your mom, your dad, your siblings, your auntie, your grandma if she's techie, and all of the people that you went to school with and have met along the way in your life. Everybody's gonna see your stuff. Never mind all of the strangers on the internet. And I know that this can be very scary. And I went through the same fear before I started posting on YouTube. I felt called to start a YouTube channel probably 3 or 4 years before I actually started it. And I would get inspired and be like, okay, today's the day, and then procrastinate or fall into all of these same traps, thinking that I need more certifications, or over planning and overthinking to the point where I'm just an anxious mess and I don't end up recording at all. But eventually I had to just embrace imperfection and just put stuff out there. So I remember when I finally decided I was going to start my YouTube channel. The night before, I had actually gone into YouTube, set up my channel, and gotten everything together. And I was like, okay, maybe next week I'll make a video and put it up. So I was woken up that very night, 3 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of this crazy thunderstorm all around the house, with this overwhelming feeling and knowing that it was time to just record a video and post it and see what happened. So I'll put the link to the video here if you're watching this on YouTube, but I'll also put it in the description box. It's not edited, it's not pretty, it's done in the middle of the night, the video is grainy, but that was the beginning of an amazing process and big time personal growth for me, because that scared the crap out of me, and I thought about deleting it so many times, but I'm glad that I didn't, because over time as I made more videos and started building up my body of work, people started showing up in the comment section. I started making connections with amazing people all over the world. And it keeps growing slowly but steadily. And I wouldn't be where I am right now, however many years later, doing what I'm doing without taking that initial first step. But it was scary, and I had a little panic attack, and I had to calm myself down. So having tools to keep yourself calm and grounded while you're traversing new territory is really key. But whatever you're doing, just make sure that it feels aligned for you in your heart and in your spirit. Because when you're coming from an authentic place, it's easier to share. It still might be scary, but it will feel easier if it's coming from your heart than if it's something that was really heavily scripted or written by somebody else or anything like that. And sharing your authentic story really helps you to connect with your audience. People want to know that you're also a human being, that you're also flawed, that you also deal with these things, that you also deal with these fears. So even sharing about your fear of being seen on your social media can be hugely healing and impactful. But at the end of the day, just take imperfect action and learn while you're doing. You know, every one of us starts somewhere, and the more you keep showing up, practicing, the more confident you will become in your personal life and in your business. All right, before we get into the practical exercises, I just want to offer some changes in perspective on this. I want you to recognize, my friend, that your purpose is bigger than your fear. And one line that has really helped me along my journey whenever I start overthinking and overanalyzing is this: if you get nervous, focus on service. When you take your mind away from the self-focused fear of, oh, are they going to judge me? What are they going to think? Yada, yada. And you focus instead on, okay, I'm doing this so that I can help people. And that's why I started this business in the first place, is because I want to help people. So yes, I'm feeling this fear. I'm feeling anxious about this, but I'm showing up for my people. It's not just about me. Your purpose is bigger than your fear. Secondly, and I talk about this in my book, Do It For You, but it's important to remember that everyone's opinions of you is not very much about you at all. Everyone's opinions are filtered through their own beliefs, traumas, memories, past experiences, things that they were told when they were young. So every single person that comes across you is going to have a different opinion of you based on their own biases and their own triggers and their own life. And you have no control over that. So with that in mind, we can kind of disconnect our validation from the external and learn to validate ourselves and learn to be kind and gentle to ourselves during this process. And know that if you strike a chord with somebody and it elicits a harsh reaction from them, know that that is also helping them if they choose. If they choose to look into that and see why it's triggering them and do the work. But you also don't have control over anyone else's process. You don't have control over how anything you do might trigger someone else. So at the end of the day, all you can do is stay connected to your inner truth and come at everything you do with good intention and leave the rest up to the universe, because you have no control over that. And Thirdly, I'd love if you would consider the ripple effect. The ripple effect of you showing up authentically as your true self. Because I have seen this in my own journey, and it is the most beautiful and fulfilling thing I've ever experienced, is seeing how when you show up in your authenticity and you show up in your truth, that gives others permission to also show up authentically in the world and to shine their light. And it's such a beautiful thing to see that ripple effect in motion. And I truly do believe this gets me emotional, because it is emotional. It's so incredibly beautiful to see that what you're doing is having a positive impact on other people. That's why we start businesses. That's why we want to share what we want to share. That's what it's all about. All right, so now I'd love to share some practical exercises that can help you move through the fear of being seen. So here's some journaling prompts that can bring awareness to the root of the fear and help you move through it. Okay, so the first one is, what am I afraid of will happen if I allow myself to be fully seen? And feel free to pause this and write it all out before we move through the questions, but I'm gonna just keep going, okay? Second, what is the cost of hiding? And what opportunities am I missing out on when I hide? The third is, how would I show up if I weren't afraid of judgment? Now, these questions can bring up a lot, so just give yourself time and space to process these. Take good care of yourself, go outside afterward and process, and be sure to comfort yourself while you're doing this work, because you might touch on some things from your childhood, some things that are sensitive to you. So just be gentle with yourself. All right, we've got some embodiment practices that can help you overcome this fear of being seen as well. And the first one is mirror work. All right, this practice has been transformational for me, but it was really hard for me in the beginning, and it may be for you as well. But I encourage you to keep up with it, because doing mirror work can really start to help you build a more positive sense of self and build your confidence. All right, so really what this is standing or sitting in front of the mirror and looking yourself in the eyes and saying affirmations and just talking to yourself in a gentle, affirming way. And use affirmations that fit for you. But in the beginning, it might be hard even to just look yourself in the face for an extended period of time. And there might be emotions and tears that come up. That's okay. Let them flow. It's all a part of the healing process. Another thing you can do to practice is just record yourself on video and don't post it. Just record yourself and get some practice. Practice looking at yourself. Practice listening to your voice back. And over time, the more you practice, the less cringy it becomes. And the third is to try wearing something bold that makes you feel seen and confident, and just experiment with being out in the world and having people look at you and affirming yourself during that process. So just a reminder that this world needs your voice, your light, and your presence, and you deserve to show up in an authentic way and shine your light brightly. We need that, especially now. This world needs more light bearers than ever. So I encourage you today to take one small step toward overcoming this fear of being seen. What's one thing you can do today to put yourself out there a little bit, or practice these few things that I've gone over today? One way that you can overcome the fear of being seen is by commenting on posts on social media instead of hiding in the background. So if you want to practice that today, you can comment on this video and let me know how you're going to show up for yourself today, how you're going to start allowing yourself in all of your glory to be seen. All right, I'm sending you so much love. Like this video if you liked it, share it with someone you love, and subscribe or follow for more content like this. I'll see you in the next one.